All right, we are live. I am trying to get live on my Instagram, and I am going to share this out. You guys can share it out to your pages. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You guys come on in, come on in. Uh, we are just sharing the live. We're going to ask that you share the live. I'm going to be talking to two gentlemen collectively did almost 300 years in prison. So if you don't mind, share this live out. It's going to be very informative. So if you don't mind, share it out. And when you join, just let us know where you're joining us from. And I just want to share it out to my community. I'm going to share it to the private groups. Share it, share it, share it. Like it, like it, like it. Everybody knows somebody who's in prison, incarcerated, or have been incarcerated. This is a conversation for everybody. Everybody. So, okay, Casey, I see you you're joining us from South Carolina. Diana, you're in Wilmington, Delaware. Thank you so much for joining us. You guys share it out, and especially those of us who have family members who are incarcerated or have been incarcerated, and we're on these groups, on Facebook. They're labeled prison wives groups. I don't like that term. But if you guys can tag somebody in, because I guarantee you that my guest is going to be sharing some information and some knowledge about the prison experience, the prison journey that they may not know of, but they definitely need to be aware of. For those of you who are joining and don't know, my name is Sheila Bruno, founder of Wife After Prison, and I give voice to the psychological impact of incarceration, known as Post-Incarceration Syndrome. Post-Incarceration Syndrome is a set of mental disorders that occur in those who are currently incarcerated, those who have been released, most severe in those who have spent a lot of time in solitary confinement. There are some symptoms. PTSD is one of the symptoms. Institutionalization personality disorder is one of them. Antisocial deprivation, antisocial personality trait is one of them. Social sensory deprivation syndrome is one of them. And of course, substance abuse is one of them. So we're going to be talking today, and the structure of this live, this is the first live that I did for 2024. In 2023, I stepped away for a few months because this work can get heavy. It can get heavy when you are hearing stories about family members cry for help and for support, because the person that they have supported for so many years have come home and they're unrecognizable. And so that work can get really, really heavy. So last year, I stepped away to do some self-care. And even while I was, on my doing my self-care, I continued to get messages from loved ones talking about the struggle that their loved ones were going through when they had went off, because of after prison, the effects of prison. So this is what this platform is about. We educate here. We raise awareness about post-incarceration syndrome. We talk about it. We talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Someone once told me that my content was raw, and my reply was and still is: reentry is raw. Okay, it's so good. It's good to talk about the successes. I love to talk about and see the guys home who are doing well, but we must also. I don't know what that is.
No, it's a tornado.
Okay. Oh, tornado one. Okay. Yeah. So, but we also must keep it real. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to be keeping it real. Okay, Ramona, we see you here in Houston, Texas. So, guys, the two gentlemen that I have on is Mr. Bobby Bostic, and Bobby was sentenced, and he'll get more into that. When I saw what his sentence was, nearly 241 year in prison, I was like, who does that? But I had an opportunity to see Bobby's story. And he'll get an opportunity to tell us about that. The same judge that sentenced him to 241 years was the same judge that advocated for him to be released. So he has an amazing story, an incredible story. So he'll get an opportunity to share that. So when I decided to come back and start doing the lives again, last week I started just posting content on LinkedIn, and the response was overwhelming. And it does my heart good when system impacted men and women can encourage me, keep talking about this, keep talking. They're confirming what I am talking about is real, and that's what they're going through. And so that's how I had an opportunity to meet Mike. Mike posted on one of the comments, and so I invited him to the conversation.
I don't hear you. You like kind of froze up.
Okay, we're back. Not sure what happened, but yeah. So Mike replied to one of the posts, and I'm always looking for people who gonna keep it 100. And so his comment was definitely 100. So I invited him to the table. So I'm going to give these guys an opportunity to introduce themselves. If you guys will just tell us where you're from, tell us where you living, how much time you were served, and how much time you were sentenced to, how much time you served, and how long have you been out. We're gonna start with you, Mike. You can
Um,
introduce yourself. Yeah.
my name is Mike. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I did my time in New York. I was sentenced to 25 years to life. I was arrested on my 17th birthday. I served 24 years, 6 months, and 2 days. And now I live in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Okay. Okay. So Mike, you did almost your whole sentence.
Yeah, I made my first board. I got to get out 6 months early. New York has what they call limited credit time allowance for certain programs. I completed college. If you complete college, you're eligible to get out 6 months early.
Okay. Okay. Wow. I know here in Texas at one time you had to do 1/3 of your sentence, and then they raised it to you had to do one half of your sentence before you're eligible to come up. So yeah, you did a lot of time. How about you, Mr. Bostic?
Uh, Bobby Bostic. I was 16 years old when I committed my crime. I was given 241 years. I served 27 of those years. I live in St. Louis, Missouri.
Wow, 16. So Mike was at 17, you were at 16. So let me ask you this. So Mike, for you, what was childhood like? What was your pre-incarceration?
Um, I was overall I was a bad kid. I was in the mix. I was involved in a lot of bad stuff, and it led to prison. I was You froze up again.
Okay, guys.
All right, now I hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I don't know why. It must be. Okay, okay. So yeah, so just tell us again. Tell us about the pre-incarceration days.
So I was from Brooklyn.
Can you hear me, Mike?
Yeah, I was from Brooklyn, Coney Island, like the hood, and I was a street kid. I was, involved with violence, drugs, and I didn't get high. I smoked weed as a kid, and I ended up when I was on my 17th birthday. They arrested me for a murder and drugs, and then went to trial, and just before my 18th birthday, no, I was sentenced 2 days after my 18th birthday to 25 to life, 8 1/3 to 25, and 5 to 15 in prison concurrent. I served my entire sentence, and I was fortunate enough to make my first parole board.
Okay, okay. For childhood for you grew up in the hood. So if you don't mind me asking, and you don't have to answer, you don't want to, but what was your charge? What was your crime?
Oh, I had a murder and some drug cases.
Okay.
I was convicted of one murder and like 2 drug counts.
Okay. So prior to that, had you been in the system before?
I never did a bid. I never did time. I had arrests. I had adjudications. Like I was always in the mix. I just never had to do time before. I had like conditional discharges, dismissals. Um, it's but as far as I was, I've had multiple arrests when I was a kid.
Okay. Did you graduate from school?
So not before. I mean, I really stopped going after like 8th grade. I officially dropped out in 9th grade. But in prison, I got my GED. I got a college degree.
Okay. Okay. Okay, good. So you, Mr. Bostic, could you describe for us life before going to prison?
Life life before prison for me. The typical inner city childhood. Grew up in poverty, gangs, the typical lifestyle. Not everybody lived that life. Some people went, as they say, straight from school to prison pipeline. Some people just made a mistake. But for me, I was already headed down the wrong path. But I never thought that being locked up for robberies in a situation where no one was seriously injured, that I think that I would end up getting 241 years.
So I read you had 17 counts. So that's how the judge uh sentenced you based on all 17 counts.
Yeah, the
So she
17 counts is like it was 5 people getting out of the car. Uh, Two of them got robbed, 3 of them did get robbed. But if you point the gun towards somebody, that's attempt to robbery, armed criminal action. So I got 6 charges for people where a gun was just pointed towards their way. Nothing was took from them, but I still got like 90 years for those charges there. Uh, so they stack charges on top of charges the way the system is designed. When you got a gun, they add another charge with it anyway in most states. And that crime that they add along with the gun, if I commit a murder, just say if I get locked up for involuntary manslaughter, I get 7 years for that, but I can get life or 30 on the other charge just for having the gun. So the way the system designed, they got other charges they can stack on top of other charges. And in my
Wow,
situation, that's what happened. That's how I got to 241 years.
241 years. I would faint. I would have fainted. I would have fainted when they told me 241. So let me ask you guys this. So growing up, we knew you said you was in poverty. You was just the typical teenager, whatever. Trauma. Was there any type of trauma that you experienced that you felt like that led you down that pipeline? And I know at that age, we don't even consider trauma. we just consider, okay, I'm growing up in poverty. It is what it is. I'm seeing a lot of crime happen in the neighborhood, not knowing that it is affecting you in some type of way. So, is there any specific trauma that you experience that you can pinpoint and say that was a traumatic experience for me?
I would
Anybody?
say the normalcy. It wasn't like an incident. It was the overall normalcy of crime. It wasn't frowned upon or looked down on. It was actually praised. And at least in my situation, so it wasn't a trauma. It was the normalcy of there being nothing wrong with it. You're being praised, and whoever had the most money was revered. Whoever had the most power was revered. And it just so happened it was bad guys.
Yeah. Wow. How about you, Bobby?
But right now today, they say it's trauma. I mean, I read books on it, I read studies on it, and maybe it is trauma, but I don't consider it as trauma because that's the life that we all live growing up in our communities, right? And then the way the world is that in trauma, uh, to deal with it or see it, you know what it is, but you become immune to it. So right now to this day, the little boy that I was that went to school hungry, it's a lot of backdrop to that when you commit crime. They don't a criminal is not born, they made, right? As for me, growing up with no food in the house led me to go steal from the store. Having no money and getting teased at school because my clothes are secondhand made me go take and steal so I can have those things so I wouldn't be teased. Uh, it's always a backdrop to that, right? But that
Yeah.
trauma that I felt as a child when I was teased for being dirty or for having holes in my shoes, I don't process it no more because I had to go through 27 years of survival in prison, right? Even that trauma there, I didn't deal with it like that because I spent out of them 27 years, I probably spent 10 of those in solitary confinement. But you
Wow.
you had no time to process trauma. You had time to wake up and try to with me with a life sentence. I had to wake up every day and figure out how I'm gonna get this time back, how I'm gonna get out of prison. So I didn't have time to process trauma. And now that I'm out here on the streets, I'm not tripping off trauma because I'm trying to help other people that's going through trauma. I process mine in my own way. All
Yeah.
those years and ass said I dealt with it. And so now I'm out here doing the work trying to help others get through their trauma to see the other side of pain, the other side of prison, the other side of poverty. It's a
Okay.
path on the other side.
Yeah. Okay. So I know something about your story. So we're gonna come back. We're gonna come to that post because you hit the ground running. You hit the ground running. You've been out a little over a year and you are running. So we're gonna come to the post. Now let me ask you guys this because I had a live some years ago and I had 12 panelists. Their sentences ranged from 2 years to 2 life sentences. And I asked each of those, were they affected by prison? Did prison affect them psychologically? And 11 of them without hesitation said yes. And they talked about how so. But there was one who was hesitant, and he was in the worst prison in Texas, underground prison, uh, 25 years underground. He was hesitant to say that he was affected by prison, I think because of his status that he had gained that he had before he went to prison. But 2 weeks after that live, he called me and said, Miss Bruno, I need to get a copy of your book because I need my lady friend to understand me. So my question to you, Bobby, my question to you, Mike, is were you affected by your prison sentence, your stay in prison? And if so, how so? Mike?
I would say for sure. Well, one, I seen a level of corruption that it was shocking. I mean, you could pay cops a soda or a bag of chips, buy a shower, and every other thing. I'd buy eggs for a pack of cigarettes, 2 packs of cigarettes. So you see a level of corruption, and then you realize you have a society that's complaining that you go to college, complaining that you have a cable TV, and you realize that like they want you to have bread and water, and that be locked up, throw away the key. So it definitely causes a negative outlook on them, and just being there, going through it. Like I did about 7 years in different kinds of boxes, SHUs, and you realize they know it's bad for you. They know it's not healthy to put somebody in a box, and they do it. They do it anyway, and they set you up. They lie, and there's nothing you can do about it. You see a court system that they have a hands-off policy in New York, anyways, where they don't care. You could show them you're in the right. They don't care. You have a criminal justice system that's failed that they say is the best in the world. And you realize we have everything is like a lie. And then you're in a situation where everybody is really out to get everybody else. Everybody will do whatever they can get away with. Yes. But on the flip side, people do have to stick to their word. If somebody says they're going to do something, they got to do it because there's violent consequences. If they don't, lying, playing games, that's not going to be tolerated. And that becomes a normal way of life.
So let me ask you this. So when you say when people say they're going to do something, they need to do it. They're going to have to do it. Like if somebody threatened that I'm going to take care of you or whatever, they have to follow through. What do you mean when you say that?
Okay, it could be anything. If a guy says, I'm going to give you something next Tuesday, it could be a bag of chips. It could be anything. If a guy says, I'm going to help you do something, it could be anything. They're going to do it, or there's going to be like violent consequences. So everybody kind of does what they're supposed to. Like if you're online and I'm next, and I walk off the line, you know I'm next. And you see a lot of things like that there was this order amongst the chaos. The chaos caused an order, a respect level that became normal.
So having to live with that sense of a heightened sense of always having to be on alert. So every day you had this heightened sense of, okay, I said I'm gonna do this. I have to do that. Is that what you're saying? Something like that?
No, I'm saying, I know. I didn't feel like it was obviously you're hyper vigilant, but it was more about decency. When somebody said something, you could count on it. You could take somebody at their word. And people, when they spoke, it actually held weight. It meant something. Whereas it doesn't out here.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So a whole new world. We talked about that. So anybody, if you guys are listening, y'all have any questions about anything, put your questions in the chat and then I'll ask the guys the question. So let me ask you, Bobby. So describe your overall experience during your time in prison and what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced?
Well, it ain't a human alive that's gonna say they wasn't touched by a trauma in prison. It can be for 2 days. Any sane person gonna be traumatized by that experience. It's what you do with the trauma that determines what you're gonna do in life, right? Um, I can woe is me all day about prison. We all know it's messed up. I wrote 2 books about prison. In fact, one of the books, Life Goes On Inside Prison, just telling you what it's like inside prison. I wrote another book called Time, Endless Moments in Prison. And throughout those books, I'm explaining how this trauma don't just affect me, it affects my family. It affects wives like you. If I marry a woman in prison, she doing time with me also. So that affects her, right? And then when I get out, she got to deal with uh, the person who she saw me in prison. I'm gonna be that same person in essence, but it's gonna be a little different. She'll see a little difference about me now that I'm free, and she may think I changed or I wasn't who I was presenting myself as in prison, but it isn't like that. It's a certain trauma that I was dealing with in prison that when I get out, it's a way that I'm gonna process that trauma, and it can alienate families, as you said, because they expected me to be the same person I was, and the way I matured or how serious I am in prison, that seriousness is on me for life now. I'm not so much as in the joking move all day or so. Like in prison, you had to be on point. You had to be a certain way, and these same behaviors you can end up carrying out to the streets. The seriousness that we have in prison, it'll never leave us, right? Because uh, it's an abnormal environment. Just put it like that, right? And you expect it to be normal when you get out. Fortunately, prison didn't mess me up to the point I didn't take meds or none of that. Some people do all type of things to cope with that psychological trauma that they dealing with in prison. It's hard. You can't see your family, your kids growing up without you, et cetera, et cetera. You're going through all these things, and some people process it different. For me, I processed it in a positive way. I was able to read books all day. That was my escape. That was my high. Other people got high through all type of drugs. You seen your cellies ODing. Some of them died. You seen people become zombies on medication. Uh, People become other things that they shouldn't be in prison because they can't deal with the weight of not being in around people. Some people turn to homosexuality. You got all type of things that go on in prison because mentally some people can't deal with that stuff, right?
Right.
And that's the trauma that we deal with in prison. That uh, we talk about it, but some people say, "Hey, prison ain't a hotel. You shouldn't have thought. You should have thought about that before you committed the crime, et cetera, right?" But they don't know that if 80% of people come home from prison, we bringing this trauma out to society. It don't leave. It ain't staying behind in prison when people get out. You got people that come out with that trauma undealt with, unhealed,
Undress. Hmm.
yeah, unaddressed, undiagnosed, and everything else when they get out that trauma. So when they get out, society sometimes, unfortunately, unjustifiably, that trauma is unleashed on society when it shouldn't be. And this is why you got the recidivism rate so high because guys haven't dealt with the trauma. So when they
Right.
get out, the trauma gets unleashed
Oh,
directly, indirectly, even if they don't go commit a crime. If I go misabuse my family or be mean to people that loved and cared for me all those years, that's me not dealing with my trauma. Now I'm taking it out on other
absolutely.
people. And
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Hold on, Bob, because you warming it up. This is my conversation right here. I'm so glad that you have said a lot that you said because this is the core of this platform, right? Because I'm telling you, some family members are green, have no clue of thinking that the same person that was in the visitation room that told you he was going to do X, Y, and Z. And this is why I say, I tell them they don't know what they don't know until they get out, right?
okay,
They
can I say something real quick? Real quick.
sure.
Mike said something. He wasn't lying. He said that when we say something in prison, your word is your bond, right? So when we telling y'all this in the vision room, we not lying. We really
We
mean
mean it.
that because we don't this ain't just a prison thing now. When I say my word is my bond, this ain't only amongst the guys in prison. I mean that with my family and my loved ones and friends too. When I'm telling y'all something, my word is my bond.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when we get out, it's a different reality. Not that our word ain't our bond no more. It's just what I told you ain't how I thought it was gonna be, right? Like my girlfriend on the phone in the vision room, she was this way. Now I get out, she seemed controlling to me. And it's like you can't dictate. I just went through that with the guards trying to control every move I made. Now you want to control me. And it can cause a lot of tension between me and my girlfriend. And now we break up. I didn't
Yeah.
lie to her when I said we together forever. I meant every word. She know I meant it. It's just she indirectly she becomes not my enemy, but she becomes someone's that I'm frustrated with her all the time because it's like you trying to control me and I just was controlled by
And
guards. You
it's
make me feel like I'm in another prison.
It's not.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's a communication barrier. Let me tell you this. And so this is family members. I see y'all question out here. Cassie, I see your question. We're coming for you. Beretta, I see your question. We're coming for you. Chantel, I see your question. We're coming for you. But this is why I want family members to understand. Yes, they meant well. They meant well when they said that. When they come out, they probably told you, okay, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And when they get out, then those things that they wanted to do, they don't have all of the pieces. They trying to figure this thing out. And we as family members, we're stuck on, this is what you told me you was going to do. This is what you're going to tell me. Now, let me go into this. Let me go into this, because this is another thing that I have asked several guys, several women. How did you survive prison? Right? 99.9 of them said, I had to become a person so that I wouldn't get taken advantage of. I had to become, even Kevin told me, I had to become a monster. Another guy said, Miss Sheila, I had to become a monster. And that's the label they were giving themselves. They said so that they would get taken advantage of it. Now, when they came out, even though they began to transform their lives when they went in, when they came out, some of those same behaviors, came out also. So there's like they wore this prison mask to become, so they wouldn't be taken advantage of or whatever. And then when they come out to society, they got on another mask because they want to prove, or they, for whatever reason, stigma, whatever, they want to approve that I'm okay, prison ain't affected me, blase, this, that, and other. So that's heavy. It's like you have on two identities, right? You have on two identity. Most important. And Bobby, Mike, thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for showing up and educating us. Because some family members, they don't get it. They don't get the fact that you went in at 16, you went in at 17, and you've never had an adult relationship, and then you come out and you know how to do this thing. And you've never had that. So we're gonna go to some questions from the chat, and then we're gonna come back. Okay, so let's see here. Chantel says, do you guys think counseling is good? Good question. So have any of you guys went through counseling? Anybody went through counseling? Tell me, if you did not go through counseling, how do you cope? Are you a part of a support group? How do you cope when times like that? Mike, you told me you stay secluded in your house. So you guys talk to us about this question. Do you guys think counseling is good?
I mean, I never even really considered it. I wouldn't even know where you would go for it. Never really considered it. I don't think it would be bad.
Okay. So Mike, okay, I'm coming for you, Bobby. So Mike, you told me you stay in, most of the times you stay in your house.
I keep renting these like really nice places with amenities. I generally try to live on the beach or the water, and like I'll go out for walks and stuff. I don't socialize. I go see my mother at least every Sunday minimum. But yeah, I go everywhere. If I go someplace, it's by myself. Like mostly I go on walks though. I mean, when I first came home, I went to places. I wanted to see everything, touch everything, and then I did everything I wanted pretty much. And I work from home, so.
So are you comfortable? Are you comfortable like that? Are you open to counseling?
Yeah, I mean, so I don't really think anything is wrong. Like I've went to events. I went to an event last week. The other day, I went to a hockey game. I have no interest. I sat there. It was for someone else. I just sat there. It's not, I didn't think it was fun. It wasn't entertaining. It wasn't interesting. I was like bored out of my mind. But they wanted to do it, so I did it for them.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. Okay. So Beretta, having my husband in prison doing a long time, how do I help him when he calls and he is angry with everything I say?
Hey Beretta, he ain't angry at you. It's just sometimes you trying to give positive advice. You trying to calm him down, but the way that you say it, it may be it's the wrong way to come out. Like if you telling me, I'm telling you what I'm going through, and her the guards doing this and then the other, and you telling me to calm down or this and then the other. First of all, listen, just listen. Sometimes, right? If you listen, because if you say something, I may not that I'm mad at you. It's just you making me even madder, not at you, but you telling me to calm down or do this and another, but you really don't know what's going on. You telling me don't do nothing. And sometimes I got to do something. I'm in the prison culture, and then you think when I go do this that I'm rebelling against what you said, but no, it's when I'm dealing with it here. When this phone hang up, I'm in a whole different world in prison, a world that you can never understand. You telling me to walk away from this or let that go or don't do this, but in here I got to do something, whether I want to or not. I don't want to. I don't want to go sit in solitary confinement. I hate solitary confinement, but it's something that I got to go do. And you telling me the advice you giving me is the wrong advice. I'm not. I'm angry at what you say because you don't understand what I'm going through. You think you do, you saying you do, but you're not in here with me. I'm not against you. I love you. You with me. I appreciate your love and the consideration, the care you got for me. But you saying the wrong things at the wrong times, and it seemed like I'm angry. But when the phone hang up, all I can do is tell my celly or the other guy, man, I love Beretta, man. You know that's my girl. I love her. But when I'm on the phone with you, at the time you saying the wrong things, and my response seemed angry. But it's not really. I'm not angry towards you. I'm angry at how naive you seem to be to what I'm going through, and my response seemed like I'm angry, but I'm not angry at you. I'm just giving you an irritated response because you're saying the wrong things. Not, I'm not angry at everything you say. It's everything you seem to say seems to be against what I'm actually going through. When you don't understand, even though what you're saying is out of current concern, but you you address it the wrong way in the environment I'm in. That's all that goes.
So, bottom line, he's not mad at her. And what I hear is that they can be on the conversation with prior to going to the phone. They could be in have had a confrontation with somebody, and then they get on the phone and they're talking to their loved one, and they still upset or whatever. So this is what the loved one gets.
But
They get the brunt of it.
Redder, first of all, I'm mad because the guard, I'm 20 minutes late for my phone call. Or the dude in front of me, he on the phone arguing his girl. He didn't cut 5 minutes into my phone call. He do this every day. So now I'm already, I've been waiting to talk to you all day. Dude done pissed me off. The guard, everything. I'm mad about something. I get on the phone. You say how I'm doing. I'm all right. And then you like, baby, what's wrong? And the way you said, nothing. I'm cool. I'm trying to deal with this without putting you in it. I don't want you in this world I'm dealing with. You say I'm getting mad because of you said hi and I sound down. Now I'm cool. I ain't down, man. What's up? How you doing out there? And then you steady tripping off how I sound. I'm trying to get off the me and your conversation so I can get this prison stuff off my mind. You steady asking me like, baby, what's wrong? Nothing ain't nothing wrong, man. What's going on out there? How the kids doing? No, you sound like something you upset. I'm not upset, man.
So
How the
so
kids doing? You know, I'm
so
trying
Bob.
to, yeah,
So in other words, you try to say if he say he fine, just let him be fine and don't keep asking.
yeah. Don't keep asking me because once you tell me about the kids, oh, she got straight A's on the report card. Now I'm not even tripping off this dude that just cut 5 minutes of my phone call. Now I'm tripping off the kids and y'all making me feel good. So if I'm all right, just let me be all right, please.
Okay, so Casey says, why do they want their own independence in prison, like hustling while in prison? When tell them not to, they stress the importance of it. Talk to us about the hustling in the prison and all of that.
You
Go ahead,
Why
Mike.
do their own independence? Talk to us, y'all, uncut, unedited.
Go ahead, Mike. Tell
in
them.
my situation, I didn't have anybody in the street that I had to take care of. Most of the time, I have helped the girl out. But in there, you want to live as good as possible, and it's not free. The cops are overcharging you. If you want to buy a dozen eggs, might cost a pack of cigarettes or 2 packs of cigarettes, which are like back then were like $7, $8 a pack. So, you want to have nice things. You got to make, unless you have a family that's willing to pay for it, you got to get it how you got to get it. And, eating was a big thing in prison. I wanted to eat well. So you do what you got to do to eat well. If you like, you might want to get high and, you pay more in prison. So you got to make money to have what you want. And then, you might want to have nice clothes, and then they have TVs and commissary, and none of that's free and none of it's cheap. So somebody's got to pay for it. And if you're not hustling in prison, your family could take care of you. But the truth is, you could spend over $1,000 a month easy in prison, and most families can't afford to send their loved ones $1,000 a month.
Yeah, I had one lady tell me that she had counted up all of her receipts since the time that her loved one had been incarcerated, and she had spent over $60,000, and he was still locked up. Right? He was still locked up. So let me ask you this. Let me ask you guys this. Did you encounter any moments that significantly changed your perspective or approach to life while you were incarcerated? My thing about this, the mask that some of them say they wear to survive. And I asked a couple of them that eventually changed their lives when they were inside. What was the turning point for you? And one guy said, Miss Sheila, I looked in the mirror one day and said, I hate this dude. He said, I hate this dude that I have become. And so he said, from that point forward, he started working on changing himself, the personal development, trying to transform his life so that he wouldn't go back to prison. So what was your aha moment? What was the moment that said, look, I can't do this. I cannot continue. If I continue down this road, I may not make it out of here. So what was the defining moment for you that made you change? Anybody?
Casey, real quick. Answer her question real quick again about the hustling thing. Another reason why it's important to a person in prison is that as men, we used to getting our own, and we not used to asking people for stuff. Even though our family can send us money, we not used to being dependent on nobody else. So we want to be providers even from prison. That's why some guys hustle in prison. They want to take care of their family in prison as they did on the street. And it's easy to make money in prison. So it's like, I'm going to continue to take care of y'all. I'm going to continue to be a man. I'm not going to ask y'all for nothing or depend on y'all. That's why guys in prison hustle. Or as Mike said, you don't have nobody on the street, so you're not finna compromise your principles in prison, so you'll hustle and study compromising your principles. My turning point for me when I say I had enough was uh, when I was 20 years old, the fifth year into my prison sentence. My mother died. She was 42. She died of cancer. And as I was reading her letters, trying to hold on to her because I'm talking to her minute by minute. And the doctor said she'll be dead tomorrow. She got 24 hours to live. So I'm calling it, and she outlived in a couple of days. And I'm calling, and she just telling me her life story on the phone, and I'm reading her letters. I'm getting letters every day that she wrote me while she's still sick. So I'm reading her words, and I'm like, man, she telling me, in other words, she not directly telling me, but I know it's the stress that we as her kids put her through that contributed to her smoking a lot of cigarettes that led her to get lung cancer, right? So I'm blaming myself at the same time. And then I'm thinking like, whatever I do from this point on, I can't show her. I can't. Uh, my dreams at this time, I didn't. I got 8 books out on Amazon right now. I wrote 15 books. I got college degrees and all this stuff, but at the time, none of that was done. So I could never show her. I can't never show her what I'm gonna become because she gonna be gone. And it's like this the one person in the world I want to share my accomplishment with. When I walk out of prison, she the one person that believed when everybody else gave up hope. When they told me out, when the judge sentenced me, she told me directly. She looked me in my eye and told me I would die in prison. My mom was standing right next to me when the judge told me I'm gonna die in prison. When I looked at my mama, that killed her almost. When the judge told her her child was gonna die in prison, right, like right in front of her. It's like that's worse than being shot. It's worse than getting shot with a gun when the judge tells you you're gonna die in prison. It takes the soul out of you. Not only me, it took the soul out of her, right? And I looked at her like, man, I saw how much it hurt her, right? And I
Yeah.
knew I had to go survive prison. I had to go to prison. Wasn't nothing I can do but go there and man up and survive. But with her, it killed her on the inside. Her child just been taken away from her. That's worse than death. Like your child gone for the rest of his life. But me and her from that day forward believed that I was getting out one day. And that's the faith that I held on to. And she was my strong supporter. So when she died, it's like, what is it to live for, man? It's over with. I don't even care no more. It's the next. If somebody stirred me too long, I'm gonna try to take them out because I ain't got nothing to lose no more. It don't even matter. That's how I felt. But then when I go read her letters, every line in her letter saying, "Never give up, stay out of trouble, you coming home, believe in God," and it's like, do I turn into the destruction side and go on and kill somebody for bumping into me or any incident? I was ready to go. I was waiting on because in prison is always gonna be something. But I was looking for that next incident so I could take the pain out that I'm feeling from losing my mother on
Yeah.
whoever trip. But it was like her letter saying do the opposite, saying stay out of trouble. Don't go to ASC. Go home. Study the law. Get out of prison. Come home to me where you just belong. And I'm like, man, you done disappointed her all her life. Now she dying, and you could be partially responsible for it. Either are you gonna go that way and give up, or you gonna do what she said do and come home. I chose to change my life and come home. Right? I owe
Yeah.
her. I owe her that. Out of all the things I took her through, I owe her to try to come home. And so when the courts denied everything and said I wasn't coming home, I can hear her voice saying, "You coming home? You gonna walk out of there?" And it's like I owe her that, so I kept going because of what she instilled in me, and I changed my life from that point on, and decided when she died I was getting out of prison. I was gonna change, and that was my changing point. And I
Dear
went,
mama. Dear
yeah,
mama.
dear mama,
Okay. Dear
what,
mama. So we're gonna get a chance to get into that. We're gonna
yeah,
so let's see what Sky say. Sky say, how can you help someone you don't hear? People fear what they don't understand, but trying to understand from your view is vain. Avoid. How can you help? Now I know Sky. Sky did some time. Sky, you did what? 19 years? You went in at 17. How can you help someone you don't hear? So there's a communication there. Do you guys there's a lack of communication because sometimes we can be saying one thing and then you guys could be hearing something else or vice versa. We could be saying one thing and you guys hear something totally different and and take it as an attack. So this is this whole conversation piece. And this is what I see. I hear people tell me when they get out, when me and him going to counseling, me and him are going to counseling. My thing is this, y'all don't need to go to counseling together right out the bat. He needs to go deal with what he needs to deal with if he's willing to. And then you need to deal with what you need to deal with. But right at the bat, ain't no couples counseling needed. He needs to deal with this if he's open. With Kevin and I, Kevin need to go to his own counselor. I needed to go see. I didn't know it at the time, but I did. I need to go to counseling. And a lot of times women think that we need to go to couples counseling. And that's good, but not in the beginning. Let him go. If he's willing to go and talk to somebody about his experience, he may be wanting to share something with them that he won't share with you. Because this is the thing, family members, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong. They're not going to tell you everything that they had, what that they did in prison. They're not going to tell you every experience that they had in prison. Some of them can't. Some of us couldn't even handle that conversation. But I know how we as women are. We want to hear, tell me. You ain't gonna get it, and you may not be able to handle the conversation. So, Sky, how can you help someone you don't hear?
I have to step away. I'll be back.
Okay.
To answer that question, Sky, it's two aspects of that question, right? I want to read it right, but the thing is, in the street sense, you had to when you was in the streets, you had to survive, right? You had to read people because the person that's smiling in your face might kill you or rob you in the next 3 seconds, right? So you had to read people even when you couldn't hear, right? Now, if you translate that, so it's the same way when somebody come home from trauma, right? As she just said, as Sheila just said, uh, we're not gonna tell you everything we went through. I'm not gonna tell you I can't even remember every incident. Somebody will come out from prison that I did time with and have to remind me of some incidents because some of the stuff I done blocked out. Some of these days are so hard when I'm in a cold cell and they just strip me down to my boxes in a cell, 30 degrees, and I got to stay in the cell for the next 20 days. I done forgot about that stuff because I don't want to sit around and be angry at the world. So some of the stuff I done put out of my mind. Uh, some things may trigger something. Here it is. I done went out with my friends. I come in at 1 o'clock. You blowing up my phone, talking about where I done been. It's it's like, hold up, man. I just went through the same thing with the guards. I'm free now. Let me be free. Some of the things you ain't gonna understand because I can't tell you in words, right? Uh, I may fear the way that you love me. You trying to love me in a way that I may feel that's controlling, right? That's the main problem that y'all gonna have with us in relationships. If we talking about relationships,
Yeah.
we feel like y'all trying to control us. Even if you trying to tell me, I just did 27 years. When I got out, my sister took me everywhere. You got to. I'm like, hold up, you ain't got to explain to me like I'm a little kid. I know I got to go in there and take the picture, then they give me the ID, right? Yeah, but it's the way that y'all say it, like you talking to a child. It's like I'm a grown man. Like I understand that I don't know about some things. Okay, well, when you go in the White Castle, the soda machine, it ain't like it used to be. It's gonna come out. Okay, you can explain it, but don't try to don't belittle me, basically.
But let me ask you this, Mr. Bible. I heard what you just said.
Yeah.
Now, could it be that you perceived that she's trying to talk to you as though you're a child or you don't know? Is that the way? Could it be that that's the way you heard it, but that's not the way that she was really
No,
conveying
no,
it?
I ain't tripping off the first, the second, and third incident. It's
Okay.
like with everything, it's like y'all feel like y'all gotta, hold our hand like we're a baby or something. I mean, I understand I ain't been out in 27 years, but I mean, you ain't got to try to control my movements, right?
Okay.
So
What's your
therefore,
suggestion? What's your suggestion?
the suggestion is let us bump our heads and then let us come and ask y'all. As long as it ain't gonna get me in trouble, it ain't gonna get me in trouble to if I go in the White Castle and I don't know how to work these new machines. Like if I got a cell phone in my hand, because I went to prison in 95, they didn't have cell phones when I went to prison. The way the kids gonna explain it to me, they ain't gonna make me feel offended. But the adult gonna be looking at me like, you push this button, you hold it. Okay, hold up. It's the way that you explain. Like you ain't got to hold up, man. I'll figure it out on my own, man. Now I'm getting frustrated because you talking to me like I'm a kid. Now the kid gonna come and explain it to me like, Uncle, hold that button, and I ain't gonna have no problem with the way they teach me. But the adults, it's like I'm not one of the kids that you talking to. First of all, you You know what I'm saying? Now in prison, I was pacing. We was in the visiting room. It wasn't nowhere to go but to the vending machine and back to our seats. So we communicated like that for 20 years as husband and wife. But now that I'm out, you trying to control me like I'm one of your kids. And it's like, hold up, man. Now, this is where the tension come in at. Like, let me be free a little bit. Let me roam.
Okay, so is it, Bobby,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna go on to something next because I got some more stuff. Bobby, is this the way that it is, or is this the way that you perceive that it is? Is it
No, no, it's the way it is. For one, your maternal nature, for one, and then you used to dealing with kids, so you project some of these things on me unknowingly because I'm new to the world. You know, I ain't been out here in 27 years. First, you protective of me because you got to protect me, right? But then you kind of overdo it in your maternal instinct, and it's like, let me breathe a
okay?
little bit. Let me
Okay,
let me leave the house for a couple of days because you starting to get on my nerves already.
what, bye. I get you, but check this out, family members. I'm gonna tell y'all from my mistakes what I did. Alpha female, take care of everything. Kevin could even just think he wanted something. I'm making it happen. I'm like that. I'm on it. I'm on it. Until that third year, then I was like, I need you to be the man of the house. And he just finally told me one day, he said, Sheila, you had me on crutches all of this time. You took care of everything. And then you snatched those crutches from up under me, telling me now you need me to be more responsible. You need me to be the head of the household. I've never been a man. I've never had a whole lot of responsibility. So from that, I learned family members, like Bobby said, let them bump their head. Let them
Hey,
bump their head.
see, man, this is the thing, right? Most of y'all have become alpha females because the man is missing from the household. So y'all had to step up, take care of the kids by yourself. Y'all had to be alpha females to survive, right? So this has become who y'all is now. So now we get out of prison, we've been dealing with alpha males all our prison incarceration. So we come out here and y'all do the alpha female thing, it automatically it caused tension. And then we distance ourselves from y'all. And then y'all say we reneging on the things we told y'all in letters and on visits. But y'all showing us a different side with this super alpha stuff. And then now it's making us angry. And it's like now this is how we start breaking up. This is how the relationships start breaking up because of y'all trying to control everything unintentionally because this is who y'all nature is. But y'all never showed us that on the phone. Y'all answered our calls every time it was sweet and all this. Now we come home, y'all want to control everything. It's like, hold up, man, I'm not going to be controlled. I was just controlled in prison by the guard. Now you want to control me.
Okay,
So
but
that's the
yeah,
problem.
yeah. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. But let me tell you guys something. We all have our issues. We do. We really do. Because Kevin used to say to me, you need to go to counseling. And I'm thinking, I ain't been to prison. What I need to go to counseling for? But it was one of the best things that I could ever done for myself. But we cannot negate the fact that because prison does have a set of psychological issues that
Mhm.
makes a person behave in a certain way, that when they come out, they still continue to behave in that way. We cannot negate the fact that I wonder if he would have never been to prison, would he respond like that? We can't negate that fact. We have to really consider some of the symptoms and the behaviors because I'm gonna tell you, as I continue to talk to people from London to the UK to Alaska to America, it's same behavior, different zip code. What's the common denominator? They all been to prison. And let me tell you something. And I love my brothers coming home from prison. I do. But at the same time, you guys got to be open enough to understand. Now, if everybody then saying the same thing, I may need to look at something. and not take it personal. Let's see what Michael's talking about. Michael said, I spent 16 years in and now 15 years out. It isn't easy. Started a business, got married, bought a house. A person has a choice to choose, and their choices will end up affecting their lives. Believe that. Yeah. I believe that life is choice driven. Life is choice driven. Okay. Thank you for that, Michael. Now we have I hear a whistling sound. Let's see. Let's see what Margaret. Y'all got a bad storm now, huh, Mike?
Yeah, it's the tornado coming, they said.
Wow. Okay, Margaret says, I don't think my ex-husband was prepared to be released, even though he spent 39 and a half years, because they released him due to braved heart or something like that, because he contracted long haul COVID and is currently on oxygen. Wow. So, and was okay. I don't think my ex-husband was prepared to be released. He did 39 years. Let me ask you guys something. Was there any programs within your prison that prepared you to come home? And also, was there any program in the prison that dealt with mental health?
Yeah. They have things they call like pre-release, transitional services, but no, they tell you how to get social services. They tell you how to go home and get food stamps and welfare and stuff like that. No, they don't prepare you. And that it's funny. A lot of guys using a smartphone, using technology. Nobody teaches you that. Nobody gets
Yeah,
you ready, tells you how it's going to be.
yeah,
They tell you how to get benefits. That's all they care about.
yeah. Let's see here. Do you have access to therapists that are formerly incarcerated and aware of PICS? Now, I'm going to tell you this here. I have therapists reaching out to me saying, I want to know more about PICS, right? When Kevin went to his first therapy, he came back, he said, she can't help me. He
Okay,
said,
for people that don't know what PICS is, what is PICS?
PICS is post-incarceration syndrome, a set of mental disorders that occur in those who are currently incarcerated, some released, a lot of time, those who have spent a lot of time in solitary confinement, institutionalization personality trait, right? They're accustomed to doing something for decades or whatever, and they come home and they continue to do the same things, right? I mean, it's been as simple as someone going into the store being overwhelmed by the colors because he's wore gray for 35 years, or someone used to not turning the lights off, hadn't turned the lights off in 25 years. And family members are saying, why don't he turn those lights off? Well, okay, he hadn't had to turn the light off in 25 years. That's institutionalization. Okay. Social sensory deprivation. Haven't touched nobody, haven't had really a human touch in years, decades. And so now just even the touch of a person, right? A lady told me he's been out 3 years. He still sleeps on the couch. One guy said, I'm afraid because I haven't slept with anybody. And I'm afraid, she may touch me and I may, get up fighting. So, and I understand that prison affects everybody differently, but these are some true stories. One lady said he got up and went to the restroom. She was wondering why he slept like that on the pillow. He got a shake up on this pillow. One man would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning every morning. His wife he would wake up and go stand at the bedroom door for count.
Yeah.
For count. So
Fortunately,
these
right?
are psychological issues.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Fortunately, that these are real issues, right? Fortunately for me, prison didn't affect me like that. Um, I move in a normal way. Only thing I do is get up at 4 in the morning. I don't go stand by the door. I just start reading and writing because That was something I did in prison. So institutionalization is always going to affect us in some way, no matter how sane we is, because prison didn't mess me up in the point where I do abnormal things, but institutionalization is going to be on you in some way, the way that you wash your clothes. Like I wash my clothes every day. Like in prison, when you go to the shower, you wash your underwear and your socks. So out here, I do the same thing. And people say, well, that's as far as you, that's what I see as far as institutionalization, that you don't just pile your laundry up and take it to the washer like normal people. You wash everything, because in prison, that's all I had to do. I had to wash things immediately. So I brought that out here. Now, as far as everything we talking about, this is my gift as a writer in prison. I wrote 15 books. Two of those books are about prison, right? I got a chapter in there called Institutionalization. I got a chapter in there called How the Family and Spouses Do Time for Prisoner also. Employment in prison, as Mike spoke about, the technology vacuum. I got a chapter called The Technology Vacuum. No matter how many classes they teach us, they'll never give us a cell phone when they know when we walk out the door, our family gonna hand us a cell phone. But in prison, it's against the rules. They will never give us a cell phone to say, this is how you work technology when you get out. So here it is, you got a guy that went in prison in 95 when there wasn't cell phones. The internet wasn't out before I went to prison. They won't allow us to get on prison and internet. So therefore, no matter how they call themselves, they got classes, they got reentry classes, they got mental health classes, but none of that can prepare me for the culture shock when I'm out. I don't even sit around and blame prison no more, right? Because rehabilitation is up to the prisoner, right? They classes are their classes. I can fake every class there is just to make a parole date. It's up to me as an individual to change. As I said in my book, prison doesn't rehabilitate the man rehabilitates himself. It's up to us prisoners to really change, because no matter what they offer us, we got to change. The
Yeah,
cycle,
but let me go ahead, Bob, and then I need to come back with that.
okay,
Yeah,
okay, the psychological aspect of it, right? Nothing that they can do, no counselor can prepare us for that, for what we finna deal with in society, right? But it's always two ways that we can go. We can go the victim route. We know that the system is messed up, right? But do we sit around and complain about it, or do we get out of here and sink or swim? We got to swim to stay free. We got to be normal to our families, because sometimes we the strength that our family need. Here it is, if you've been married to a man 10 years in prison, you need him now. You may just only can hold on until he got out. Now you need him to hold you up. So now you weak. You can't be the alpha female all the time. Sometimes you need to lean into the man. You need me now. And then when I get out, I may be only a shell of myself, and that's disappointing to you. So prison, it don't just destroy the prison, it can destroy the families too. So this society got to understand. That's why I wrote them books, right? On the back of my book, Life Goes On Inside Prison, I said that society need to understand what happens to a person when they send them to prison. You can't just send us to prison and then when we get out, don't think this is going to affect society in general. It don't just affect the prisoner and his family. It affects everybody, because if you my supervisor, Sheila, and you got me as your husband, and now you go to work, you may take this out on your coworkers because you're dealing with issues at home, right? My addiction affects my whole community. If I break into houses in this community, property value goes up. All this can be from untreated symptoms of post-incarceration. If we don't treat these things, it's going to affect us one way or the other. We can say that's those people over there, that's those families. What
yeah,
we going through, what we talking about, post-incarceration, the psychological trauma, that affects everybody. We got to deal with these things
it
head on.
does. It does. But let me say this. One thing I'm going to say, let me tell you something. So every prison is not the same. Some people are not getting the tools. There is somebody sitting somewhere in a cell saying, man, I need to change, but I ain't got no tools. My thing is this: everybody in that prison, from the warden on down, needs to be educated on the psychological impact of incarceration. Everybody.
Yeah, they do.
Everybody does. And that's why. I was up 2 o'clock this morning, hammering away at my curriculum because I am going to get, because let me tell you something, Bobby. Let me tell you something. Now, we sometimes we tend to think, we don't have it all together, but prison has some serious side effects and they bleed over into the family.
Yeah, I
They
talked
bleed,
about that in my book.
yeah, they bleed over into the family. So this is why they are on the inside. They need to understand it doesn't take away from your manhood. It doesn't take away for who you are as a person. So this is why it's so important that we sound the alarm. Hey, okay, man, when you come out, you might be doing a little tripping. This is much of what you might be going through. So this is what you need to do. We need to start preparing some on the inside now. Some prison has tools. Some prison don't have tools. But at the same time, family members, again, we can't look at them like they're the only one with our problems because we may have some communication issues. We may not be able to communicate effectively. But most importantly, it is so important that we all understand the psychological impact of incarceration. It's real. It's just not a phrase. It's not a catchy word, and it has consequences. I've had women in the group who have been murdered, and I ain't said everybody no murderer. I ain't saying that. But within 6 months of their loved ones coming home, 2 of them were murdered. One, he hung her. We cannot pretend that aggression is not an issue when it comes to prison. For some, now, Bobby, I ain't trying to say this you, but it's learned behavior, learned aggression. One lady, ma'am, I got a black eye. I got a black eye. 3 weeks later, ma'am, I got a dislocated jaw. He wasn't violent before he went to prison. Learned behavior.
Okay, she's
Learned
like
behavior.
about that, right?
But I'm gonna do that, and then we're gonna wrap up. Let me tell you this. This is why we have to sound the alarm, because a lot of them do not understand. When I come out, this prison mask that I put on to survive, that bad boy coming out that back gate too.
Yeah, but it don't affect us to the point. A lot of us, right? We ain't finna come out and putting our hands on a woman, right? Our aggression ain't gonna show in that way. I mean, for me, and the guys that I deal with, we gonna walk away from her if she bothering us like that, right? It don't serve us no purpose to put our hands on a woman going back to prison. We ain't trying to go back to prison.
Right here. Yeah.
No, I mean, some of them may do that. Some of them do that, right?
Yeah. Some of them do. I got the receipts.
Yeah, I mean, we all know it. We can watch the news every night. Some of them do it, but I'm saying our aggression. Some criminals, right? Their aggression will come out against society. It won't come out against their loved ones or their woman. Some will. They hurt the person. They hurt the people that's closest to them, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, some will. I mean, that's a fact. It can't be denied, right?
Right, but this is the deal, Bobby. Some of them don't even understand that. They don't even understand that they're being aggression. A guy reached out to me. He said, my wife told me after he said, I've been home 3 years. She told me the other day, baby, sit down. I need to talk to you about something. And she said, I've been here. He been out 3 years. And she began to tell him how aggressive he is in his approach and his tone. And he said, man, I didn't even realize it. So again, learn behavior. If you do these things consistently over and over and over again, okay, it becomes a habit. It becomes a habit. I'm not trying to, look, I love my brothers. I love my sisters.
It ain't no habit. It ain't no habit to come home to hurt people you love.
No. It's learned behavior becomes a habit.
Yeah, but that ain't me surviving in prison, being violent in prison. In the violent environment, they don't translate to me coming out here hurting people in society or people I love if I ain't trying to go back to prison.
Got you, Bobby. But I'm telling you, I'm saying I got you. That's you. Appreciate you. But that ain't everybody's story. So when we telling the stories, we ain't just talking about the good.
No, we know the bad part of the story. We can't ignore the bad, right?
Got to talk about it.
The recidivism rate speaks on that itself. It's 67%. right?
Got to talk about it.
Some of that, 10% of that 67 recidivism rate is domestic violence, right? We know that,
Got to
right?
talk about it.
So
Yeah,
of course it can't be ignored, right? At
yeah,
all. And that goes back to the tools you was talking about. See, don't people like me, right, should have a seat at the table to talk to the wardens and people that's over corrections. Like, look, man, these are the tools that are needed that y'all don't have, man. Okay, y'all want to know the tools? Here it is in the curriculum right here that need to be taught to the guards. This is how y'all got to deal with people, or else we're gonna continue to have this recidivism. We're gonna continue to have these incidents where some men feel the need to come and put his hands on a woman, right? When he get out of prison. I don't understand that type of thought process, but some dudes have it. And it's that maybe they haven't got the tools. Some people, even if you get them the tools, they still gonna be that way because that's somehow some people is. That's something that they want to do. They feel like
right.
that's how they can express themselves. They went through the tools, they went through everything they need to go through. It's just a part of them that feel like they got to be that way. And those type of people recidivate and go back to prison.
Yeah,
Um, we can't deny, like you said, the other side of the incarceration, where some guys bring their violence and aggression home, take it out on women and kids,
yeah,
et cetera, right?
yeah,
Uh, it can't be denied. So I agree with that.
yeah. So yeah. So and that's where I come in at. I come in and I tell the ugly part. I tell the part that people don't want to talk about. I tell that part. I have
No,
it's my
you saying they don't want to talk about it. They talking about it loud and clear.
yeah, but I mean it's some of them, but it's some of them that even don't have the knowledge, and that's where I come in. It's my responsibility to sound the alarm that prison has some side effects. It's my responsibility. But we're gonna wrap up in the last 13 minutes. Bobby, you've been out. You've done some amazing things. I mean, your story is incredible. Your story, they aired your story on CBS News. Again, Bobby was sentenced to 241 years in prison. The same judge that sentenced him advocated for his release. And I think y'all had Thanksgiving. Y'all had Thanksgiving together, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Bobby came home and his thing is the same community that he terrorized is the same community that he's helping and he's giving back. So I asked you guys can follow Bobby. Bobby, what's your handle on IG?
My handle on IG on Twitter is follow free Bobby Bostic. You can follow me on Instagram at free Bobby Bostic. The things he talking about CBS this morning. The I got a nonprofit called Dear Mama. Just Google Bobby Bostic and you'll see the news coverage of all that I've been doing since I've been out of prison. You'll see all I was doing in prison too, all the interviews I did in prison, and all the media coverage of the positive things I've been doing since I've been out of prison. Just go to YouTube and hit Bobby Bostic and all that will come up. Um, I wrote 15 books in prison. The first book I wrote was a tribute to single mothers. It was my mother biography slash single a tribute to single mothers and all that y'all go through, raising kids by yourself when we go to jail, when we get killed, or we just dad be dead. So I understand all that women go through. I salute y'all queens, and I wrote all this in this book to express to kids like listen to your mother, man. This is the first teacher that you gonna ever get. Even if you don't understand her, she there for us. The women is there for us. So that book is a tribute to them. 20 years later, when I was reading that book, uh, I was thinking about my mother. She gave charity. So I created a nonprofit called Dear Mama. And with that nonprofit, I give away giveaways. I do giveaways twice a month
Issue.
in St. Louis
Okay.
to impoverished communities.
So Bobby, look, we got cut off. So put your handle in the chat. And also, can you put in the chat that link to that CBS special
Okay.
that they ran
Uh,
on you so you guys can see. I want you guys to see the work that Bobby is doing. But Bobby, I gotta tell you this.
yeah,
Okay? Listen at me.
I'm just
You've been out what 14 months.
yeah.
You hit the ground running.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't stopped. Get you some self-care. Make sure you're getting in some self-care. Okay. And I'm not comparing you to anybody, but I've seen them get and they hit the ground running. I got to help my community. I got to help. And then they neglect them. Make sure whatever you're doing in between taking care of the community, you taking care of Bobby. You doing
Yep,
stuff for Bobby.
I am. I definitely am.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you. I want to have another conversation with you. I like your conversation. And I want to continue to have a conversation with you about everything that you're doing, how we can better educate the family members.
Yep.
You good with that?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So,
Hopefully you can read my books and like for the people can read those. And I mean, we could talk about those where they are a resource too for the families and people in prison.
okay. Yeah. So guys, I'm gonna also on the Wife After Prison link, I'm gonna put Bobby's information, the books and everything. We didn't get a chance to talk about solitary confinement. You were in years for 10, you were in solitary confinement for 10 years.
Yeah, out of them 20, not 10 years consecutively, but off and
Yeah,
on throughout my prison time, it was that many years.
10 years. And so when you were in solitary confinement for 10 years, how often did you leave your cell? The cell?
It's 24 hours in my state
24-hour lockdown. You was in the cell or you was in the box?
in the cell.
In the cell?
Yeah.
You had a window, or you was just in that concrete.
Oh yeah, it was just in a concrete box, no window.
So what did you do to take your mind outside of that box?
I read and I wrote these books and I did legal work to try to get out of prison. And then other times you don't have no books or nothing. You don't have nothing but your thoughts. And my mother used to always say she knew I was a loner, but too much thinking ain't good for you. And she was right about that. When you think too much in prison, it can lead to back to that trauma that you never dealt with
Yeah,
because you're trying to figure out how did you get in this position, how you gonna get out. And it's
yeah,
sad when you got a life sentence, ain't no getting out.
yeah, yeah. I know one guy. He did 19 years. I mean, yeah, he did 19 months in solitary confinement, and he confided in his wife that while he was in solitary confinement, mentally he came unraveled. He said the guards would bring him books, but they would have the pages torn out to torment him. And he said, in order to silence the noise in his head, the voices in his head, he began doing drugs. And when one drug didn't silence the noise, he tried something new. And ultimately, they found him in his room, dead at the boarding house. He had been there for 6 days, and he had the needle in his arm, and he was trying to silence the noise that was in his head from his time spent in solitary confinement. So this is why we had these conversations. We're going to keep having these conversations. This time, we're having family members to come, and family members is going to tell about their experiences with their loved ones coming home for prison. Our next live is going to be January the 26th. I think it's January the 26th. I'm sorry, January the 23rd. And we'll be talking to a wife about her experience with her husband who is now home. And so if anybody's out there, you want to share your story, you want to share your experience, just send me a DM. This is a conversation that has to be had continuously. So we're going to keep talking about it. Again, I'm writing a curriculum. My thing is getting it on the inside, to sign the alarm, to seek to understand, not deny. Prison has side effects. So with that being said, I'm going to say good night to you guys, and I'm going to put Bobby's information. Bobby, any last words you want to say? If it's anything, yeah.
To all the listeners, especially those who still have loved ones incarcerated. Please be patient. Read Sheila book and her curriculum. What she telling y'all the other side of this, so y'all can know that it's not gonna be. We all celebrating and waiting countdown to our release date, but the other side of it is what she teaching about. It's not gonna be all peaches and cream. As she went through her own situation with her own husband that was released, she waited for years for this man to come home. Don't we not? It's not a pitch of horror, none of that. We just talking about a reality that even though we wait and we long for this person to be home, there is going to be side effects from that, and it's not going to be easy as we think it is when that person come home. So prepare yourself for that, so it won't hit y'all and to a point where it breaks y'all down to the point where if you got a protective defense up or a notion of what's that this can happen, it can prepare it will prepare you for that. But be patient with us while we're in there. Understand that we all dealing with trauma. Some of it is unhealed. So please be patient with us when we come home. For the families that's listening to this, please study this interview and what we said because it's real. Read my books on Amazon, my books about prison, where I talk about all these things that we're talking about, and just study and read and just be prepared for it. Love and embrace your loved ones when they come home. Celebrate with them, but also be patient with them at the same time. If they got a life sentence, I'm a living testament that they can get out. I had 241 years. I'm free. Never doubt your dreams and goals. I'm a living testament of dreams and goals. So hold on to them no matter what. You're not in this struggle by yourself. It's groups that, like Sheila hosts, it's groups of other women that you can talk to, therapists, counselors, especially people that's going through what you're going through, and let them help you get over the bridge, over troubled waters. And just be patient and dig in. Read my story, stay inspired, and we just got to keep doing the work. That's all.
All right. I appreciate you. Beretta says, Bobby, you are an amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So with that being said, we're going to sign out and we're going to see you guys again on January the 23rd, 5 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. So you guys, thank you for your questions. Continue to ask the questions and we're going to do everything that we can to get them answered. So without further ado, I'm going to say good night and I'm going to say, Bobby, thank you so much. And I'll be in touch.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.